A sentence is a list of words that are separated by a single space with no leading or trailing spaces. You're given an array of string sentences where each index of sentences represents a single sentence, which are the maximum numbers of words that appear in a single sentence. So for example, we have Alice and Bob love leetcode, that's 5 words. I think so too, it's 4 words. And then we have this is great, thanks very much. That's 6 words. So the output is 6. 6 is the greatest, 5 was the second greatest, and 4 was the smallest. So the best way to go about this is just to count the number of spaces within each item in the list. Because you can tell how many words are in the list by the amount of spaces in the list. If there's one word in the list and there are no spaces, so you would just add 1 to compensate for that. Then every space means that there's a word before it. So a space after Alice means that there's a word before Alice. Space after N means that there's a word before the space. And so all we have to do is initiate a max count variable, which will track the maximum count of spaces that we see. And then we can iterate over each item in sentences. And then in the for loop, we will check to see whether if the count of spaces plus 1 to compensate for the single word possibility, if that is greater than the max count, then that becomes a max count. It becomes the biggest sentence that we've seen. So if item dot count, and we're tracking spaces, so the spaces inside the parentheses plus 1 to compensate for the single word. If that is greater than max count, then it becomes max count. So max count equals the item dot count. Again, we're tracking spaces plus 1, and then we just return max count. Okay, cool. This worked because we initialize max count to 0 because we haven't seen any sentences yet. And for the first sentence, we went into each item in the sentence. So this is the first sentence. We look inside the sentence and we say, hey, how many spaces are inside of this sentence? So we count each space, 1, 2, 3, 4. Then we add 1 to compensate for the single word that doesn't have any spaces after it. And then we check to see whether that's bigger than the max count, which 5 is. So max count now becomes 5. And then we rinse and repeat for the rest of them.